live, I think. Now the question is, am I dropping any frames or any shenanigans like that? It's not telling me. That's fantastic. I suppose we'll see how this goes. I don't think we're running into any problems yet. So, okay, what we're doing here today is we're doing a little bit of a Blender stream here. Hello and welcome to my misery. We're doing a little bit of a Blender stream here. I'm going to remove the light in the camera. We're not going to be using that. And what we will be making is a enemy for my game. I'm not entirely sure yet which enemy this is going to be. Whether it's going to be the basic variation of this enemy or the boss variation. I'm intending it to be the basic, but maybe I'll get carried away and it ends up being the boss version. Anyway, just before the stream started, I AI generated some. That's not what I wanted to do. I AI generated some reference images that I am going to be able to use here to just look at for like general vibes and that kind of thing. It's pretty generic for the most part what it generated. Although I do like this idea of it, like the legs being a cloak and then it having like a cape and a hood, but the chest and the rib cage being a skeleton. That's actually a pretty cool idea. I'm thinking this is probably going to be what I use for the boss design though, and we're going to go with a more fully cloaked Grim Reaper for the design that we're going to be working on here today. Okay, so the stream is smooth for you, and my own stream health, going into YouTube real quick. I will check. So far, it doesn't say anything wrong with me streaming, like my upload, so I'm going to just say that's probably your internet. Let's get started. The way we're going to do this, I have not quite decided yet. It's been a while since I've been in Blender. So, what I think we'll do is... How are we gonna do this? Because I'm still not entirely decided. We talked about this in Discord a moment ago, right? Wanting to make a cloak here. I think if I'm going to give this guy a cape, which I probably will end up doing, that will have to be done through cloth simulation in engine. So that's going to be an entirely separate object. The question though is the main part of the cloak here. Is that going to be cloth too, or is that actually just going to be like a mesh? Well, everything is a mesh, but like, am I going to animate that, or am I going to make the entire thing out of cloth? I'm not entirely sure. For now, I think what I will do is I'll just model the basic shape of it. And from there we can always remove stuff and change it out to having a cloth on it when I'm a little bit more confident in how to actually accomplish that. So let's get started with that. A basic cloak-like shape, which shouldn't be too difficult. Of course, the wrinkles in the cloak itself are going to be much more complex to make, but let's get started here with adding in a cylinder and just using that as our base here today. So how are we gonna do this? First and foremost, let's scale this to be a little wider, then ignore the fact that adding in a cylinder immediately introduces an endgame to our whole situation. try to like bevel this a little bit. And then we're going to want to have, wait a second, we're already clipping through. That's not what I want at all. Let's see. Can't bevel it more than this is the issue, right? Yeah, no, don't bevel the vertices. Hello everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining in. This is going to be a rough stream because this is the first time in like 2 or 3 months that I've got Blender even open to begin with. So bear with me as I probably fuck things up quite a lot. Thanks for the $5 though. That is very much appreciated. As always, that's even if it's not much, that's very, very much helpful and appreciated. So I'm thinking, let's just model the entire thing and forget about the cloth for now. Which is probably not going to look as good. But I feel like if I have 1 or 2 characters with cloth simulation and everything else is hand animated, those are going to really look weird in comparison. Because the entire vibe of like most of my other characters is very like PS2, which is on purpose. And if I then have like a real-time cloth simulation of like 2 or 3 characters, that's probably going to look real weird in comparison. Still something that I want to explore in the future, but for now let's just stick with what we've got. So for that we're going to still make that its own separate mesh, I think. And for that mesh, let's just add a plane in. This is probably also all fucked up in terms of scale, I realize now. Question, do you want that to be a separate object for now? I think we're going to want to have a separate object. So let's separate that for the time being into a separate object. So we can work on just one of them at a time. And subdivide a fair few number of times. Something that makes it symmetrical though, please. Works for me. How are we going to do this again? I think what I want to do is I want to pull these two back a little. I need a better mouse. And I want to pull those back using sphere fall off. No, I don't want to use sphere fall off. Yeah, I'm modeling a Grim Reaper. Maybe I want sharp? Yeah, I think sharp works. Yeah, sharp works fantastically for us here. This is going to be a mess to animate. I'm very happy to hear that my help is appreciated. It's very motivating. I mean, just seeing numbers on the channel page, like in my analytics, of course, very motivating in and of itself. But just like hearing people, icosphere, it's better for geometry, but I think we'll probably end up having to sculpt most of the skull anyway, right? Actually, no, I don't think I want to be able to see a skull in this one. Maybe. Do I? Well, maybe I do. For now, let's just assume that I do and use the UV sphere to space it out. Anyway, so yeah, we've got the analytics side of things, of course, and seeing people just watching and commenting and stuff like that is always nice. I very much appreciate like actually hearing from people that they found my stuff helpful or something like that. I don't think I actually even like need to model on a neck. This is very MySpace-like at the moment. You're very, very right. Like, of course, there needs to be a little bit of more shape going on here. So if I do a little something a bit more inverse square, a little something like this, right? And then take the bottom one as well. And sharp. That gets a little closer to the general shape we want. We probably want to push in the shoulders as well. What we actually want is probably to mirror this thing. Yeah, I'm going to mirror this thing. Hold on. Tools, no. Edit, auto mirror. Y-axis. Nope. X-axis. There we go. I probably want to pull. Let's see, something like this, and then way smaller radius. Again, I do need a better mouse, like real soon. We'll get to that. I was making his hood. I think something that would help us paying attention to the ribs. Yeah, probably. At least as far as shape goes. I don't actually want to see most of the skeleton for this guy. But the cloak should still follow the general shape of the skeleton. So what I kind of envision is a little something where, let's see, can we, maybe mirroring this thing wasn't the best idea. It is kind of a shape where we like feel the rib cage, and then under that we kind of feel like there's nothing here, right? This is just a cloak going down to the ground that's floating about. That's kind of the vibe that I want, and that's only like 80% because that saves me having to make a walk cycle. The more enemies I can make that don't require a walk cycle, the happier I will be. Just being able to say, hey, you move up and down a little bit, and that's both your idle and your walk cycle, saves me so much headache. And you will note, if you look at the enemies that I have in my game right now, there's only, I think, 2 of them that have a walk cycle. Only 2 of them that have legs. Well, 3 if you count the boss fight, actually. The knight has a thing as well. But that probably means that what I want to actually do is I probably want to like make this a fair bit thinner, right? Is what I'm thinking. And then this in general, just like much bigger. Just not with what the. What's going on with these vertices over here? Subdivide that a few more times and maybe like pull this one in a little bit as well. And pull this one in a little bit. And then... Oh, it triangulated these. Why? I mean, sure. I don't necessarily mind. Probably because of the... I actually don't know why. I'm not going to pretend like I do. Oh, and then we have this issue again, don't we? Just gonna... No, that's the wrong vertex. This one. My guy. It'll do for now. Dracula vibes is not too far off from what I'm going for. The only issue is that animating this is going to be a nightmare to make it actually like look halfway decent, so I'm probably going to regret doing this. Then again, actually, no, I've got a much better idea. Hold the fuck on. No. I've got a much better idea. Hold on. What we're going to do is... can we rotate all of these faces in a convenient way? Let's see, individual origins, rotate. Along the normal, maybe? Why is it not doing the individual? Let's just Control Z all the way through. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm not going to even make this thing touch the floor. Am I out of Control Z? Oh no, I'm not. Now I'm out of Control Z. It's really annoying that it only saves this far back. But we can make this work. We can make this work. This is fine. The geometry is very, like, all kinds of fucked up. You know actually what we'll do? I know what we'll do. We'll say, hey, all these vertices that we have here, they can just go die. That's the easiest way to fix this. Now we have a clean start from the midriff down. I've been 3D modeling for a few years. I just don't do it every day. I do it whenever I need assets. So it usually takes me a little bit to get back in the groove of things. Now let's just pull this down a little, and isn't there a random select or something like that that randomly selects over your entire mesh? Okay. I guess we'll just fill this in with a face. Oh, you can change that. Let's actually change that then. That is probably under preferences, editing. Where is number of undo steps? That would be probably in miscellaneous. I don't see it. Unlikely to be in here. Grease pencil also not. Waypaint also no. I like the idea of it, but it's literally not here. I don't know. Okay, an interface. Now what? Temporary editors. Status bar. System. Undo steps. Let's make that 128, shall we? It's a little bit better. I don't like my fucking chair. Hold on. My chair keeps going down when I sit on it too long. I need a new chair, but I also need a new mouse. I need very many new things. 265 is the maximum. That's still kind of fucked. Not gonna lie, that it puts on a maximum like that, but we're just gonna set it to 56. Did I say 65? I don't know. I kind of want to have some like clots dripping down from here. So what we'll do is we'll just select a few of these faces. Pull them down. Don't have this selected, and then actually let's add a subdivision surface modifier. It's gonna add a shit ton of geometry, I'm aware, but that's kind of the point. So now we can just take these points and pull them up and down a little bit. It's a little too symmetrical at the moment. Because I'm using a mirror modifier. Near the end we'll go back over this, and actually that does remind me that I probably need to delete this face. Those are inside faces, right? Yeah, those are inside faces. I was gonna say, this actually is probably not that bad of an idea to do this, but if I'm gonna do that, I need to put in a solidify modifier. So it would be better to just extrude this upward. Just for a bit, because we're not gonna see up this at all. At least I don't think we will. So this will be fine. And now we can use grid fill in theory. No, we cannot. Okay. In that case, what we'll do is we'll simply manually bridge these. That's fine. It's not great, but it'll do. Does it really matter if it's an Angon when it's all the way out of sight? No, not really. So actually, matter of fact. Yeah, okay. If we're gonna do that, let's just do it this way. Is it ugly and horrible for shading? Yes, yes it is. Do I care? No. My code is plenty fine, thank you very much. Okay, so this definitely needs to, like, number one, be down a little lower. And then this needs to be down a little lower and just significantly longer as well. Is anything clipping at this point? No. Well, that's a pretty decent start. Okay, so now we need to make places for the arms to come out. And this is kind of where I start to worry, because this is where the cape comes in, because the cape is supposed to cover up the arm thing. So what we actually, I think that means that we got this cape all wrong. What it should do is it should still do this sharply, and this should be turned on. What it should do is it should do this the other way around, I think. So if we do all that, and then the cape also should be mirrored, I have decided. That's gonna make it a lot easier to make this symmetrical. Oh yeah, I forgot. Of course, as long as you've got one bug, your entire code is fucked. When you're in the middle of reworking a major system of your game. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think I should just have more geometry here. Hold on one moment. That gives me somewhat better. Oh my god, no. Yeah, that ain't it. Hmm. Okay, let's spread this out as well a little bit more. I think that will help out quite a bit. So if we take this and we mostly... Oh my god, that... No. No. Just take these edges maybe and move them out a bit more. Is that it? Sphere. I mean, that's doing something. I'm gonna restart on the cape. I don't like the cape. How do I do the cape? How do I do the cape in a way that makes sense? Let's do the hood first. I think what I need to do is I need to make the hood. Then I can make the cape to cover up the overlap between the body and the hood, because it will be over it. And then right away, maybe I should make the arms first too, actually. Yeah, let's do the cape last. I think it makes most sense to do the cape last because it's going to be the thing covering everything up. And duplicating the robe for the cape itself is actually also a pretty good idea. Like just using the top half, making it a little bit larger. And going from there. That's a good idea. I'm gonna keep that one in mind. But still I'm going to start with the hood first. So what we'll do is especially since actually I'm not gonna use this face at all, right? I'm going to just make the hood. So what we'll do actually is I'll use this as the base and just sculpt the hood. So I'm gonna take up my tablet real quick and we're gonna be doing that. Where's my USB? There we go. Which way around do I use this one usually? Yeah, that's definitely the wrong way around. Okay, that's not ideal. I also need a bigger desk. I need so many things. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Okay, let's go into sculpting mode for this thing. And options, no. Where's the mirror thing? There we go. Okay. So first things first, we want this to be drooping down a little bit more. That's not what I want to do. I want to deform it. So we want this thing like drooping down. Especially on the backside. See, using sculpt mode just makes things so much easier than trying to mess around directly with vertices for this kind of thing. And then, are we going to be able to just like cave this in this way? Actually, we don't even want this to be... I swear 90% of the reason that I prefer making things with sculpting a lot of the time is because I can use a tablet and have the pressure sensitivity. And we probably also want to, at this point, like remesh a little bit. Yeah, it's not great, but it's better than nothing. I'm not entirely sure yet what we're going to do about, like, I want the idea to be that there's like just darkness in here. So what I'll probably end up doing is maybe putting just a particle system in here. That's just like smoke or something like that. I'm still not quite decided on that yet, but what I am decided on is the fact that the hood itself should droop down a little bit more as well. My god, I just made an assassin! Assassin's Creed, it is. So, something a little like this. Maybe a volume. That's actually a pretty good idea as well. Although I don't know if that's going to be great for rendering a bunch of them. But maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we necessarily want to have that Assassin's Creed kind of look too much. Well, that's pretty good. I don't hate it. I'm over in scope mode anyway, actually. Oh my god, that's horrible. Look at that topology, my goodness. We'll worry about the topology and the detail later. Let's apply this. Oh, let's apply that as well. Why the fuck not? Back into sculpting mode we go. And let's change up these little droopy things down here a bit as well. Because they're quite pretty sad looking. So... I actually don't know what the easiest way would be to... First and foremost, I think they need more volume. Like we need to inflate them a bit, especially up top here. I mean, it's improving things a bit. I don't know when I turned off mirroring, but it's actually good that I did. Because at this point we're not working on symmetrical stuff anymore. Man, Twitch is fucking hating me, aren't they? Which I kind of figured. But so far the streaming itself seems to be going right. Not too bad, right? Because I don't think there's like any major issues with like stream buffering and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm trying out the multi-streaming thing now, so... I think part of the reason that it doesn't look great as well is because everything that's not drooping down is still at the same level, so I probably should, like, do a little bit of this as well. maybe. And then pull this one down very far, maybe. We're gonna need to zoom out in a moment here and check things out a little bit more. It's actually not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I prefer watch time on YouTube over impressions on Twitch as well, to be frank. So, like, if you're thinking about where should I watch, Twitch or YouTube, I'm sure Twitch doesn't like me saying this, but it's probably YouTube. That's where I prefer the stats to go, because Twitch is, well, yeah. Eventually, surely, that will need to be improved as well, but for now, things on YouTube actually like improve my position in the algorithm. And as we've discussed before, Twitch doesn't really have an algorithm. It's just when you're doing well, you get more views because you're on the top of a category, which is a fantastically horrible system. I mean, it's great for the big streamers that have a big audience and get to grow their audience. It's horrible for long-term sustainability of the platform. Yeah, I think the droopiness should go up a little bit more, to be honest. Or rather, the droops themselves should go down a fair bit more. These probably just need to have a few bones of their own when I start rigging them as well. Oh, that's not good. Don't know what happened there, but that didn't look great at all. That's starting to look a little more like it. I mean, I prefer if Twitch did work out and people started watching on Twitch, but in the end, I don't really much care about that. It's just if I'm streaming anyway and I can manage to multi-stream, I might as well. But my priority is on making sure YouTube runs smoothly. Which is a great thing to say while live on Twitch. Yes, I know. Yeah, maybe make a couple of ones a bit longer, like having like this one not quite in the front, but like this one, maybe, being significantly longer than the rest. Hold on. And then not directly diagonal to it, that would be weird. So maybe this one on the side. Well, I quite like the fact that this one is between two longer ones as well. Having them both on the same side would be quite unbalanced, so I think this one is the next most logical option here. Except the fact that its topology is all kinds of fucked up. Does feel a little weird. Kind of like he has lags now. But maybe once we're animating it'll be fine. We'll keep it for now. We'll keep it for now. So I wonder why Why does it do this when I go between modes? Why does it change? I don't have a multi-res on this, right? No, I don't. What the? Oh, it's just shade smooth. Okay, now that makes sense. That leaves us with the arms, which is going to require me to make a lot of bones. And that's kinda scary. How to learn Blender. I don't have enough content on Blender to help you there, but there's quite a lot of content out there to learn Blender. I do plan on eventually making like a basic series like I did with Unreal, but I'll probably do that during a time where I'm using Blender a little bit more, so that I have a little bit more muscle memory for things. And other than that, the same way you learn anything is, once you know the basics, just do it a lot. That's not a satisfying answer, I'm sure, but it is the answer that I'm going to give you. Let's save this to a project folder. Before we lose it. Game development. Assets. Models. Characters. Enemies. For some reason I have caps lock on, I don't know why. And we'll call this one Reaper Basic. I really like Buzz Lightyear, yes. Okay, now, bones. Not the ones for rigging, but like actual like human bones. I guess what I should do is I should go to Google and I should look up this is gonna put me on a list. Human skeleton arm. Hold on. Google offers a thing for diagrams? That is amazing! But I just need a reference image. You have no idea how many jokes there are on my short about rigging. About having, like, putting bones into things and taking bones out of things. And man, bones are complex shit, aren't they? Okay, let's give this a shot, I suppose. I didn't really think through the fact that the bones were going to be difficult to make. But obviously we start with a cylinder, right? So we rotate that. That's not rotation. We rotate that 90 degrees in the X. We rotate it in the Z. And here we go. This is going to go horribly wrong. I will promise you that much. No proportional editing, please, for now. So the upper arm doesn't matter all that much. So that's good. Because we're not going to see it largely, I don't think. It's mostly the... I'll show you actually the image that I'm using as a reference here. I'm using this image as a reference right now. So this part of the arm, if I have my way, we're never going to see. So we don't actually need to model this. I'm not going to model this for now. If I end up needing to, I will. Then we need to add a little bit of detail, which is just denting things in a little bit, making it this general shape for here. this is kind of like, I imagine this right here is roughly the cutoff point of what we're going to be seeing. This is the first actually difficult thing that we're going to be making. And what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of like cartoon logic, creative freedom, and I'm not actually going to make this joint too much. I'm just going to make a bone that ends with something that is shaped roughly like this. And then I'm going to make this bone, or these, well, is it one bone, is it two bones? It's two bones that are connected. And it's just going to be separate from it. It's not going to like rotate around a joint like that, because that seems like a nightmare waiting to happen. And I mean, it's a magical Grim Reaper monster. I think we can suspend our disbelief enough to believe that the bones are being held together by magic, right? Because the bones, to be fair, even in the human body, these things aren't being held together through bone, right? These are being held together through like muscle and ligaments and stuff like that. So I think we can just start by making this bone, and then we'll move on from there. Welcome back. Happy now? Yeah, happy now. I welcomed you back. So let's do that. We'll see. Is did that's roughly. I think that's even too long, honestly. Like, we need it to be more like that. It's kind of hard to tell the length that the arm should be. Then again, we can just scale the entire thing up or down in a minute. So let's maybe what we want to do is subdivide this. Don't animate the subdivision. That would be a horrible idea. Also, I'm now using my tablet because fuck everything. It works better than my mouse at the moment. So that's kind of why. But we probably do want to set this. Global is fine, actually. Hold on, how do I scroll again with this? Is it... I don't think I have a scroll button set up for my tablet, sadly. And then we can bevel this a little bit. Let's apply this. Maybe this will be enough. Let's see. Not shading, sculpting. Oh my god, this looks horrible. We're not going to see most of this. We're not going to see most of this. This is fine. This is absolutely fine. Yeah, no, we're going to... No, this is a bad idea. Let's restart. Let's restart on the bone. Let's restart on the bone. That's not it. I think the easiest way to make a bone, honestly, might be to sculpt it entirely. Let's do that. Fuck that. I'm just going to add in a UV sphere. And we're going to use that as the base to just sculpt the whole fucking thing. Maybe that'll work a little bit better. We will, however, shade this thing smooth. It's probably a setting somewhere to make it so that anytime you add a new object, it's automatically shade smooth, and I should really check that out. Let's see, can I... Snake hook, please. Can I pull you out in a somewhat straight fashion? I can. Yeah, maybe Twitch will be better for lag, actually. That's a good idea. I'm going to need to remesh this a lot, though. Which is fine. That'll be fine. Maybe we like use the deflate here a little bit. To get the general shape down. And we inflate the end a little bit more. Still not great, I know. Oh yeah, watching on Twitch and messaging on YouTube is... I mean, you can just message on Twitch. I have both chats open. That's fine. If Twitch is working better, you definitely should just use Twitch. Let's add a little randomness to this bone by just dragging some stuff around. I don't know if this is making it look more or less like a bone, to be honest. I feel like it's making it look less like a bone. Yeah, that doesn't look very bony at all. It's because bones have more straight... So maybe if I do like this, smaller radius, if I carve things out a little more, smaller radius, need tiny details. Okay, maybe that's a little too small. No, I looked it up. There's no category for Blender. The thing you need to do is to put it in the category for art. I also don't know... Is there a category for game development? Because I have not found that while looking for it. But today we're definitely not going to make it to Unreal. If you have the illusion... Oh, it's software and game development. That's probably why it didn't pop up for me. That makes sense. I don't know that I would call this a bone, but it's it's looking somewhat more like Not really, is it? It's still a tag, probably suit Blender. I honestly don't really care about Twitch's settings, if I'm being real with you. I'm sure that there could be more accurate things to put in there, but at the moment, I honestly just do not give a shit. Kind of too bad about the whole like control rig thing. It's really nice to use, especially if you also want to have like procedural additions to your animations, like a walking animation that always ends up with the feet on the ground rather than in midair. You can do like line traces under the feet and make the IK pull the feet down. Give this model what? If you're asking me to like give you the resulting model after I'm done with it, the answer is gonna have to be a no from me. Like, there's a couple of videos where I include the... I need to just remesh this real quick. There's a couple of videos on my channel where I include the models that I made for tutorial purposes in the project download. But for the most part, like, these are assets that I'm making for my games. I'm not going to put those on publicly online for just anyone to grab. This also is a very bad bone ending. Hold on, let me smooth that out a little. I think if I smooth things out a little, especially this top one up here. I don't know how you see a crocodile on that, but sure. This is still a fucking nightmare though. But let me try and... Maybe what I need to do is I just need to get a reference of a 3D model of a skeletal arm. Skeleton arm 3D model. So I can rotate around it, you know, and see. It also doesn't need to be photorealistic. Like this one that I have here on Sketchfab. I don't even know what tab it is. Hold on. Like this one I have over here on Sketchfab, right? It's really, really basic. It's just a flat cylinder with like inflated here and a little inflated there, and that's it. And that's pretty much all that I need as well. So I probably should be trying to replicate this a lot more than the image that I showed before. Yeah, this definitely doesn't look like a bone, does it? So what we'll do is I'll try to see if I can salvage this. Because I think I will be able to. Like if I just inflate this entire thing up quite a bit. And then we smooth things out. We smooth things out over the entire bone here. It's quite funny how all the work I just did, right? When I remove that, it instantly looks more like a bone. Oh, my life is hell. Okay. Sure. I don't know whether or not to laugh or to cry about that. Maybe it could be a bit thicker, but also not too thick. I don't think. I think for now, this amount of thickness seems pretty good. Okay, now I need to figure out what orientation this arm should be in. I think what I want is I want to pull things over in this direction a little bit. Because that's the elbow, right? You know, I can actually just like try to feel my own arm and see. Yeah, no, actually there's just too much muscle there to feel. That's the issue. Huh. I mean, bones aren't that thick in the arm. Like, again, you can feel your own bone there. It's, well, it's maybe a little thicker than this. But then again, that's also part of the aesthetic, right? Because we're making a Grim Reaper here. The whole thing about the Grim Reaper is that it's a very thin skeletal figure. So embellishing that a little bit for the purposes of like a slightly more cartoonish-y character of that idea. Probably not a bad idea either. Yeah, this is way too like bulbous. This needs to be a little flatter, which we probably want to do with the flatten brush. That's also part of it. This just generally needs to be a tiny bit flat. That's a little too flat. Let's put the strength down a fair bit. Like, if we just make this entire thing a bit flatter, I think that will also... I think this is a pretty decent looking arm bone. Again, we're not going to see like this part of it. We're at most going to see it up till like halfway here. Everything on this side of the bone, if all goes well, we should never see to begin with. Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of whatever you prefer. I honestly, personally, I don't like working too much with like the modeling mode. Don't mind the atrocious topology here. This is just remeshing. I find it easier to get the shapes I want, especially when they're like rounded, more organic shapes through sculpting them. And using the what is it, the snake hook here, it's very easy to just like pull out strands and do what you want. Add some new mode topology whenever you need it, and usually that ends up working out fine for me. So that's just how I prefer to do it. It's more or less just a workflow thing. I still think that this is too big. Maybe it's the blob. Maybe we just need to de-blob it a little. Where is the button? There's the button on my pencil. Yeah, I think de-blobbing is doing fine here. Smooth things out, specifically like this weird-ass bump that we have here. Don't know where that came from. Maybe if we remesh, it'll fuck off. There we go. Okay, that's our top bone. That's what we're going to be going with for now. Then what we'll do is we'll use a cylinder this time. to see if the slightly more look-alike shape will save us a little bit of heartache. Again, specifically like the extrusion of just an object to make it like longer and make those, well, what I just showed you with the snake hook tools, actually quite easy. So it's probably not going to save us too much, but I might as well try. And this should be roughly the same length, I think, right? Yeah, so roughly the same length, which is going to end up being way too long. So we're going to need to scale this down in a moment, I think. Yeah, this arm is going to end up being way too long. Like if we look at this, and we take both of these, hold on, we take both of these, and we turn this 90 degrees. One arm is like almost as long as the cloak itself. And usually a humanoid form, like the wingspan, fingertip to fingertip, is roughly how tall you are as well. So this is way out of proportion. Then again, it is going to use its arms to attack. So giving it a little bit longer reach, from a gameplay perspective, is probably actually a good thing. So maybe it's not too bad that it has long arms. We'll make the arms and the hands, and if we need to scale them down, we'll need to scale them down, and then we can pull on the fingers a little bit to make sure that the fingers at least look good. That is the most important bit. Well, thank you for dropping in anyway, and hopefully we make good progress on this thing. Let's once again check this out. So what we'll end up doing here is, okay, so we're going to go into sculpting mode here. No, we're not actually. What we're going to do is we're going to go back here and we're going to first shade this thing smooth, just for my own sanity. And then the very first thing to do is go into back into edit mode and make this thing significantly smaller, like significantly thinner, specifically. So we not rotate, scale. Because we need to have two bones here, not one bone. Yeah, what you should do, it shouldn't for the most part matter that much, but what you should do is somewhere in here, I forget where it is. Is it on world settings? It might be in world settings. Scene. Somewhere in here there is a thing about the unit scale. I think it's a drop down menu. Oh, unit, there we go. That is by default set to metric, and that works fine, because that means that 1 unit is 1 meter. This, for the record, is way too big at the moment. But that means that 1 unit is 1 meter, which is 1,000 units in Blender, or in Unreal rather, because 1 unit in Unreal is 1 centimeter. So what you could also do, I think, is this to metric, and then the length you can set to centimeters, And now the unit measurements between Unreal and Blender match up. So if we go here into the item, its position is what was it, 390 something, and now that does fully match up with Blender. So we can see that the dimensions for the main body here are about 681 centimeters, so that is 0.6 meters, which actually is pretty good as far as like scaling goes. Surprisingly, this is not fucked. Yeah, Unity uses meters as their units, which at the end of the day, the only real difference is where you put a a comma or a dot, depending on your region, in your information. It really doesn't matter. Although I do feel like using meters for your measurements makes more sense. Hold on. Okay. So for this, let's first remesh. Why am I remeshing the wrong thing? Oh, that's why. Okay. Let's first remesh. So we can smooth this end out, because that's really the only thing we need to do here, I think. When you import a model into Unity, it's always 1 by 1 by 1. Well, yeah, the scale is, but the dimensions aren't. Of course the scale is 1 by 1 by 1. It'd be fucking horrible if it wasn't. Although there is something to be said about if you don't set your scale to 111 in Blender or Maya or whatever the fuck you use, it like baking that scaling transform data into the FBX could be seen as something neat in some cases. There is an argument to be made there. I don't know if it's a strong argument, but it is an argument. That's for damn sure. I know, it's way too late for you to be awake. Do you know if there's a way to keep all the settings and files, including assets and library of Blender, when you fresh install? I'm sure there is a way to do that, but I'm not positive on it, to be honest. But I have to imagine there is some like file or folder with files on your PC that stores that information and that you could copy over. But I don't know. But I would be really surprised if there isn't. It is actually going remarkably well making this second bone so far. It is definitely a very easy bone to make. Is this flatten? I always get flatten and smooth mixed up. Yeah, this arm is going to be unreasonably long. I start to realize that more and more as I'm working on it now. This does need to be like inflated a little bit more. And like pulled up a little. Like this. Maybe inflate it even a tiny bit more. You can always deflate it again. Which we definitely will need to. This will give us a little bit more to work with though. Elastic deform I think would probably work a little better here. Maybe no, don't add too much definition. That's the thing that I fucked up with in my first try for the bone, right? Is I added too much detail to it, and bones generally aren't known for having a lot of detail. As in, they're pretty smooth, generally. Hold on, maybe this is the tool that I want to do. Maybe the scraping tool. Ooh, that's way too strong. Strength. Way the fuck down, but maybe if I put the strength very low on this tool, this is the tool that I want to use. This feels like a good tool to use. Yeah, no, that's a little too flat. Look at a distance. This definitely is too big of an end. No, deflate it, not inflate it, please. I think that's not too bad. Maybe? I think that's decent. Let's go back to our reference model here. And then the other one is pretty much just the same thing. But thicker and a little bendy. So for this one, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this one over. Because I think this will make for a pretty decent base to work off of. I don't want to texture paint it. I just want to sculpt it. If we just grab this entire thing, make the radius a little bit bigger, grab this, move this around a little, do a little of this, pull it in a little bit, maybe, no, don't do weird stuff with it, and then make this wider mostly. And then I think, are we gonna just like pull everything out here and make it wider that way? Is that what I'm gonna do? Certainly seems like it. Is that a great way to do this? Probably not. Let's actually look at the bone itself. Yeah, no, that's gonna end up real bad. Let's not do that. What we're gonna do instead is we're going to inflate the entire thing and then just flatten it out. I think that will be a much better idea. Because now we can use the scrape tool thing. If we scrape this up real good, it's still too strong of an effect. Why does it keep resetting to 70%? That's way too strong for me. Do something similar on the bottom. Don't make it too flat though. And now we can fine tune with the grabbing brush. I don't know that this bone is necessarily going the way that I wanted to either. But let's give it a shot. Like, we definitely want a little bit more thinness here. And then increase this radius and just zoom out a little. And pull this entire bone over a tiny bit. I mean, that's not great, but it's actually not as bad as I expected it to be, which is surprising. The main thing here is that the end of the bone needs a lot of work. So let's first and foremost just like grab this and move this over a little bit. Because what it needs, I think, needs just a little more of this. And then just deflate the entire thing ever so slightly. And then I think we've got a pretty good base for a bone again. Make it a little bit more bendy. Pull this out a little more so that the bendiness can be there, but they can be closer together. Well, actually, I don't think that's half bad. That actually kind of works out for me. Huh. Who would have thought? Okay. Now, the actual difficult part is the hand. And with the difficult part, I mean, it's like the fingers will be fine, right? The fingers are very, very simple. Because they are literally just a cylinder that goes from white to thinner, back to white. Well, they're more of a cube, really. Depending on stylistically what we want. I'm probably going to go for more cylinder-like fingers. So that's not going to be the issue. That's going to be quite easy. It is the whole fucking network of like little bones in the hand that we have here, which... What? Where? There we are. Like this stuff? Like what the hell even is this? What happened in evolution to make our hands look anywhere close to this? I think honestly the easiest way for me to do this is just to generate a bunch of rocks and put them all together. Which actually, now that I say that was a joke, that's not a bad idea. Because it's not even necessarily that it's just this interpretation of what an arm looks like. If I go here, like it has that stuff too. And I think, honestly, just using Blender's rock generator and messing with that a little bit is probably... Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to do. Also, how long have I been live for? It's a very good question. It's quite annoying that I can't see in OBS because of the plugin not using OBS as counters. An hour and a half, right? $6:30. Now it's 8 p.m. So that's an hour and a half. Yeah. Just wanted to check. So yeah, let's use Blender's rock generator to just generate a bunch of like hand components here. I'm not gonna bother thinking too much about the Buzz Lightyear cup because it's weird as all fuck. Do I have the... What the fuck? Do I have the extra meshes? Yes, I do. Rock generator. Actually, let's put the... What is the button for moving the 3D cursor again? I forget. I thought it was like Alt click, Shift click, Control click, Control middle click, Shift middle click, Alt middle click, right click, Shift right click. That's it. Okay. So, what we can do is just rock generator this shit and just kind of do that. Just adding a couple of those. And we'll sculpt them and we'll do things with them, but as like a base mesh, I think that these will work decently well. Like I can just rotate this one around here, put that like there. Generate another rock, and then this one can go like right there as one of the small bones. I mean, don't tell me that this doesn't look like the image that we just saw. This is actually it's actually a pretty decent way to do this, I feel. We just need to make a shape that kind of matches up with what we see here. So the only downside is that it is entirely random what shape it is. But we can deal with that. Especially since we can rotate these anyway, right? So we can rotate this one around a little bit and make it fit roughly where it should go. Now we need one more over here and one over... Hold on. The thumb will have to go left, so the thumb should be facing out. Did I put those bones the right way around? Hold on. The thumb should be going in the direction of this bone, so that way. I think I flipped these two bones around. If worse comes to worse, we can just flip the entire arm 180 degrees, actually. It's not that big a deal. So the thumb will be going this direction. Let's go back to top view. Hold on. No, no, don't go into rendered view. It's not what we want at all. You know what? We're going to deal with this, and we're going to use this to sculpt things around a little bit more. So what we'll do is, can we just apply modifiers? Please tell me there's a way to apply all modifiers on all selected. Blender, apply modifiers on multiple objects.
So it's actual geometry.
You shut up, I just need you to... Okay, select them all. Then what do? Object, convert, mesh. Does that work? Convert to mesh. That works. Okay, that's good to know. Did not know that. Now, I suppose we sculpt these into a slightly more sensible shape one by one, right? So we just like pull things out a little. Which one is this? That's the one that I hoped. This one we push up a little, and then up top we flatten it out a tiny bit. And just like that, we are very easily making these weird ass hand bones. I don't want to say I'm a genius for coming up with this idea, but, you know, if anybody wants to nominate me for a Nobel Prize for 3D art, I will accept that. If anybody thinks that I'm not worthy of any such prize, I mean, I won't disagree, but it's kind of rude to say so. This one I think we simply just smooth out and we're kind of fine. This one we might want to drag around a little bit to flatten it out ever so slightly. I am so worthy, Mr. God of Hammers himself would be intimidated by me. You know, just smoothing these out actually does, like, way more than I would have imagined it would. Yeah, the first one definitely needs to be flattened out a little bit more, though. This one. First and foremost, we want to smooth that out as well, because that actually works out quite well. And then we flatten this out a little more, so that's in line with the rest. Oh my god, from a distance it actually looks pretty good. Okay. I like that. I like that. Let's save before I lose it. Remember when I said the fingers were going to be easy? So yeah, that's what we have to do now, is make the fingers. But the ideal thing about the fingers is that you really only need to make one bone and repurpose it. And it's a really simple shape for a bone. So let's use this as a base. And just make let's just scale it down. I actually don't know what we want to do. Like this as far as width goes, and then we can probably like pull this in with sculpting quite easily. And of course smooth things out before we oh my god, that's not good. That's not good. Let's remesh. Okay, at least that bit of the bone seems pretty good. Then we probably want to inflate and... Oh, this time you do remember the strength that I said, because of course you do. We can like inflate this bone a little bit, so we have some geometry to work with when we... But you don't remember, because why would you? When we smooth this out, having issues with your VPN? Maybe you should try out Atlas VPN. It's a VPN. And I make money when you do, so... Not gonna bullshit you any more than that. I mean, you can pay for anything. It's not reasonable, maybe, sometimes to expect that, or to think that, or to assume that. But technically speaking, there's very little that you can't pay for. The end bone actually is not shaped like that, I just realized. It's a lot more smoothed out. So let's smooth it out. I think this finger in general is just a bit long. Anyway, let's just do it a little more like this. Remesh this son of a bitch again. And then maybe smooth things out again. That's way too thin. Oh, hold on, maybe if we use fill? I've never really understood this fill brush, I'm not gonna lie. if I just do this, it just, like, that flattens. That's not what filling should do, right? Filling shouldn't deflate things and flatten them out. That doesn't make sense. Anyway. This is very thin. Well, that's actually like 1 or 2 clicks. Just 1 click makes it quite a bit better. So for now, let's just take that and copy that over like 4 times. The length of the other ones will have to be changed. I'm aware of that. And I will do that. But I just want to block out the shape of the hand roughly. So if we just take this now, and we, no, decrease this radius back to something reasonable. So this is the thumb, makes this the index, makes this the middle finger. And this is kind of like that thing of some people have ring fingers and index fingers that are the same length. For some people they're different lengths. So you're never going to be making everybody happy with this. For aesthetic purposes, I'm going to make the ring finger ever so slightly shorter, because I do think that makes for a better looking hand altogether. And these are just the first bones, by the way. There's like 3 bones and then the finger tip. So 4 bones in each finger that need to be added in total. But this is just for like the basic shape of it. I actually do think that this looked pretty good. Like, surprisingly so. I didn't... When I started this, I was kind of worried about the body and the cloak. And, of course, looking at everything that we have here, this is definitely the most basic looking shit. And we need to improve this in a bit. But I was mostly worried about, like, the bones and the arm and the hands. And so far, that's actually going remarkably well. Mind you, we still need to like rig this up and stuff eventually as well. But for now, I'm quite happy with this. You know what's the best thing about all of this? Is it should be pretty easy to just select all of these, say duplicate, and move them like this. And we'll need to fine-tune these in a minute, don't get me wrong, but just take these and individual origins, please. Scaling them down a little bit. And that's more or less the second finger. I don't necessarily know, actually. if this was the best way of going about doing it. I think the best way of going about doing it is just modeling this one and then copying that one over. Because there needs to be a little bit more adjusting than I had initially thought here. So it's mostly pulling in the bone around here, I think, that I need to do. Maybe deflate as well, just like over the entire bone a little bit. Maybe not so much in the middle, just mostly here. Inflate this a little bit. Inflate that ever so slightly. Maybe a little deflation again, and that looks like a pretty good second segment to the finger. So let's copy it over again. I said copy it over again. Why does my copy control thing not work the way I wanted to? Well... Oh, this thumb definitely needs to be a lot shorter as well. This is a really weird thumb. Yeah, let's take care of that. Well, let's actually wait with that until the very end, because I think the next segment is pretty much identical to the first one, or the second one here. So I think what I can do is I can simply just say, let's copy this over and just move it like this. And honestly, yes. Yes, that works out fantastically for me. Hey, Raid Shadow Legends can go shut their fucking mouth until they have decided to pay me to talk about them. Because I'm not talking about that game for free. That's for damn sure. And if they're paying everybody else, why should I do it for free? Just because everybody else who's getting paid has more viewers than me? That's a very good reason, but I'm going to pretend like it's not. I could say that, but I won't. Let's try to... What the fuck is going on with the alignment on this thing? I mean, sure. Let's... Maybe if we pull back a little bit, that'll do slightly better. I want to use the blob, not the blob, the inflate brush to inflate things a little so we can smooth them out. Maybe I want to flatten them instead. Maybe I want to remesh. Maybe that's what I want to do. Ever thought about that? Well, this definitely is not what I was going for at all. No. This finger I have here, it has Just take your own finger. I think the thing you're getting confused of is the finger itself only has 3 segments, but there's also 1 segment of bone inside the hand itself that belongs to the finger. Let me check the physically accurate one. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So there's 1 segment of bone going through the hand, and then the finger itself has 3 segments. And that is why we look up references, because otherwise I would have fully gone for 3 segments. I'll be real with you. What the fuck? Okay, when did that happen? Is that... Okay, that's that tool. So that's not the tool we want to use for that. Maybe I want to use this tool. No, I definitely don't want to use that tool either. This is the wrong tool, right? Okay, let's just try to inflate this middle bit then. And what we'll do is once they're inflated, then we'll remesh. And that kind of fixes my issue. Hopefully. Kind of. Maybe. It seems to have. Now I just need the end of this fingertip to look quite sharp. And I think this is still relatively pretty long, so let's pull this back a bit. And the way we're going to make it look sharp is probably with multi-plane scraping. Is that gonna do anything good for me? I mean, it's kind of working. Yeah, I don't mind that. Looking away from it for 2 seconds and looking back at it, I do mind that. I actually think that this does look better, so let's just stick with this. Okay, now we copy that over and then we go look at the thumb and the length of everything, because the lengths of all these bones are all over the fucking place and it's kind of disgusting. Actually, what we probably want to do is we probably want to... no, don't want to do that. Origin to geometry. No, I said origin to geometry. So we can rotate these around to be facing this way. That feels a lot better. Okay, pulling back. Yeah, it is definitely like all together, like specifically these bones all need to shrink down a little bit. Oh, and we can copy these two over as well and put them on the thumb, and then we'll have to worry about the length of the thumb as well, because because this thumb is as long as a middle finger and that just looks weird. But altogether I'm not unhappy with this finger. You screenshotted what now? Let's see, this segment should come roughly up to here when it is tilted in. When it's just spread out like this, it should come roughly to there. So first and foremost, I think this needs to be angled a little bit more like that. And then this entire thing scaled a bit more like that, except let's just scale them individually, fuck it. Then we scale this one down a fair bit. This one too. Should I be doing this in sculpting mode so it looks a little bit better and I can do stuff with it? Yeah, definitely. This is still way too long. Oh, that's the thing, right? It is... no. This definitely still has, like, this is 1 bone, 2 bone. The thumb only has 3 bones. Thumb has 1 bone less. Is that right with this? Yeah, thumb has 1 bone less. That is the issue. Oh, that instantly looks so much better. Okay, and the length of the arm in general. Like, if we copy this, like, we can at this point join this into one object. Which we can scale in the X direction a little bit. What the fuck is going on with the... Like, when I scale this, why is it getting skewed as well? You see what I mean? I'm scaling this in the global X and it's getting skewed. What if I scale you in your local... Well, we're just going to pretend like all that didn't happen and this is a good length for the arm, which... Again, it being a little bit longer is not actually necessarily a bad thing. So let's mirror this and because it's rotation isn't applied. That was the issue. Okay, and the mirror object will be that. And there we have both arms. Which means the basic shape for our guy is now entirely modeled. But again, oh, actually, if I just like T-pose myself here, which is looking real weird. If anybody looks through my window right now, it is going to be looking real weird. The thumbs are actually facing the right direction in this model. So we did do that properly. So yeah, this is the elbow and it's... No. The elbow bone is... I think I've got these bones the wrong way around. I think so. You think anybody's gonna notice that? Or gonna care? Because I kind of feel like if anybody notices that to begin with, they're probably not gonna care too much. Let's see how easy it would be to to just rotate the entire hand around, because if I can just do that, like if I just rotate this 180 degrees. My god, what happened there? No, seriously, what the why is it taking... Oh! Proportional editing. Okay. Rotate this in the X direction for 180 degrees. Of course, that does mean that I need to like line these things back up a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of problematic, isn't it? And this... Yeah, that doesn't necessarily look much better. So, we're just going to deal with that. Are you just gonna flip it for the other side? No, the other side, this is like symmetrical, that works. Like, it would be real weird if the thumb on this side sticked out that way and the thumb on that side sticked out that way, right? That's not how... That's not how autonomy works. Yeah, we're going to just accept that that is how that works. And let's see how we're going to do this. What we're going to do here, I think, is we're going to shift right click this. And for now, origin to 3D cursor. Just so that's easier for me to like rotate this down. And actually, that's pretty perfect as far as length goes, if you ask me. Like, it's not realistic for a skeleton, because these arms are way too long. But that's pretty much... I just didn't want the fingertips to reach under the robe here. And they reach pretty much to the end of it, which is more or less what I would have wanted. So that's really good. That's real cool. Now, the cape, the robe. I don't know how I'm going... Okay, so... I don't know how I'm going to model this, right? Because that thing needs to cover up the arms. So... I guess instead of a T-pose, we'll just do like an A-pose. A little bit like this. For this character. And model the cape around this. So let's take that ID from before and just use the base of this, deleting these vertices. Also these ones down here. Deleting all of that and using this as a base for the... Actually, I'm not gonna do that, I don't think. It's a good idea. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna just use a UV sphere. And I'm just gonna sculpt the fuck out of it. That's what I am most familiar with using this for, and we're going to use dynamic topology. I didn't do any retopology yet. the topology on this thing is still fucked. Well, it's using remesh, so it's fine enough, and specifically these bones, they're not going to need to bend, so if the topology is a little messed up on them, it doesn't matter. But they are way too high poly for what they are. So, especially these fingers, right? Like, look at how dense the mesh is on these fingers. If I go into my... where is it? Somewhere in here. My statistics. This entire thing is 150,000 triangles at the moment. It's 77,000 vertices, which is insane. So we need to fix that up later. But for now, I'm going to do the cape first. And then fix up this body a little bit to add a bit more detail. And then we'll worry about doing retopology. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I should try to optimize these meshes a little bit more than they are right now. A lot of my enemies are kind of overkill as far as like the amount of vertices they have goes. Oh yeah, I did use the mirror modifier for the other arm, as you can see here. So let's start doing the sculpting for this thing. Where are we? I'm lost. Okay, there we are. And then we'll figure things out later. So for this one, we're going to use dynamic topology. I do have a Discord server. I believe it is in the description of the stream, and if it is not, do feel free to tell me, and I will link it in the chat. Or somebody else might be able to link it in the chat. I don't know if I even allow links in the YouTube thing. Let's see, if I use the snake hook to just, oh my god, to just like pull this down like this, that should give me a good basis for a cape. At the moment it looks like a tongue, which is not great. We can pull it to the side a bit. Just create a bunch of topology that we're going to get rid of at some point in a moment. And this is a tricky bit, right? Because it needs to... let's just use the grab for this. What we first need to do is... I wish that there was a way... There might actually be a way to do this, now that I think about it. Where you could like sculpt, but it would still take meshes into account as a sort of semi-collision. That would be fantastic if you could do that. Would make work like this so much easier. Specifically for like exactly the reason that you're seeing right now, right here. Some of the bones, and they actually have good topology, except for the fact that they have, well, topology, but if you look like, they have no like flow at all. If I try to select, like, this is an edge loop. This is a really fucking weird edge loop to have, right? Like, everything is at least quads because I used remesher, but that's a somewhat reasonable edge loop. The loops are all over the place. Like, the flow is pretty fucked up, which is only really an issue if this is going to deform and it's literally a bone, so the bone itself isn't going to like be bendy or anything. It's going to be rigid. So when this is getting rigged, this entire thing is just going to be parented to one bone. These two things are going to be parented to one bone. this group of rocks is going to be parented to one bone, and on each of these segments is going to have a bone of its own. So it not being necessarily perfect for the purposes of deforming with their topology flow in this case isn't the end of the world, but it's still not ideal type topology, which goes for a lot of my assets, to be honest with you. I don't know, is it my stream that just died, or is it your connection that died? Let's see, stream health on YouTube is still fine. And on Twitch, it doesn't tell me, so I don't fucking know. Does OBS tell me anything about that? It's kind of fucked that it doesn't tell you anything about like dropped frames to either one of the streaming service. It's kind of annoying. So what is the best way to like pull this around like an angle? This is something that I always struggle with in... Like, I suppose we just do it like this, right? Bit by bit. Oh, that's definitely not what I wanted to do. There's gotta be a better way to do this, though. But for now, this will do. Specifically these edges. Well, actually, no, this... Not bad. It's not bad. This works well enough. It's just a little finicky. I do feel like there's still a less finicky way to do this that I'm just not aware of. Maybe remeshing will help. Nah, remeshing doesn't really help. Alternatively, I could try to smooth things out and try to pull things out from there again, maybe? I don't think that works very well either. What does boundary do? Let's just experiment a little bit. Don't know what that does. Okay. Rotate. Oh, rotate. Is that what I need? I think that's what I needed. Okay. Good. Good to know. And I probably should have done this with Symmetrize, I realize now. But hey, that's a little too late now. Okay, so this is going to need to, like, come over. This is going to be a nightmare with animating, because this is going to clip through fucking constantly. Let's try using rotate here. Let's see how that works. I said try to use rotate here. Let's see how that works. It's kind of tricky to tell it what and in what direction to rotate, so I still don't really like it. Again, let's try to maybe like just smooth this out. Give me a new smooth edge to start working with. Will that work? It doesn't really. Slide relax. What does that do? Not anything at the moment. Yeah, that just adds cloth detail. Posing isn't going to do much either. Thumb. Could that potentially like straighten this out? That does the opposite of what I needed to do at the moment, I think. Yeah, this is one of the big issues that I always come back to. So if anybody has a decent solution to this, I would love to hear it. Maybe just snake hook? Maybe it's just snake hook. Yeah, that does seem to make things a bit easier. Oh, no. And now we need to do that at the other side too. Fuck. Okay, let's fix up one side first and then we'll see what we do with the other side. Oh my god. This is not making it any better. I mean, I kind of somehow like the flared edges, but I'm not entirely sure whether or not I like them because they look cool or I like them because that allows me to not bother fixing them. I kind of feel like it might be a little bit of the lost there. Maybe I just deflate everything to absolute oblivion. Yeah, no, I didn't think that would do much. Scraping. Definitely not scrape plane. That seems like a bad way to go about doing this. Trying to flatten things out, maybe that does anything? Nah, not really, does it? For now, I suppose this is what we'll go with. I don't look forward to animating this. I know I've said this a million times, but it's true. Pull this in closer to the body a little. There's probably going to be some issues when I try to animate this, which make me go back to modeling and changing things around a little at some point. I have to imagine. Because this is the first time I'm doing something that's like clothing related, and I'm not going to do it in engine at the moment, it seems like. Then again, maybe if I just make this... Yeah, no, actually that's what I'm going to do. After all, I'm just going to make this a separate object, and I'm going to try to simulate it with cloth physics in engine. I think that makes the most sense. And now let's turn off dynamic topology and remesh. Let's go into shade smooth. Like that's a little jaggedy at places, but not as bad as I would have imagined it to be. So for now, auto mirror this as well. Oh no. That's the wrong way around. Fuck. Flip. Oh, yep, there we go. Negative. Auto mirror. Yeah, that ain't it either, is it? No, we're going to need to do that manually. Okay. Point taken. That's my bad. So, how's everybody doing today? I was doing pretty good until I started this cloak, at which point I lost all will to live. I mean, it looks pretty good though, right? Like, I quite like the look of it, at least. Again, aside from this edge, which is all over the fucking place. I mean, I had a little bit of a will to live, but it's fucking gone now, I'll tell you that much. At least this time, like, for this one, we can use the snake hook a fair bit more, maybe. And maybe that will make my life a little easier in shaping this thing. Yeah, no, not at all. Isn't there something in like the brush? Front faces only plane. Auto masking topology. Yeah, good. So that only now affects things that are actually connected to the thing that I'm trying to move around. That's what I wanted. Maybe it's actually better to do it this way. Like, just make the arm stick out and then move everything in place around the arm. Yeah, maybe that is better, actually. That seems to be working out quite well at the moment. So we can pull this one in front of the other one. As long as they don't clip through each other, that is. Let's remesh because this is entirely fucked. And we can smooth this out too. Oh, we still have a finger or a hand poking through. Actually, thinking about it a little bit more, the cloak is going to need to move in very specific ways to expose the hands during attacking animations and stuff like that. So we probably will need to manually animate the cloak after all. And I take very little to no pleasure in saying that, but it seems like that makes the most sense, so I guess that's how it'll have to be. Oh, no, don't clip through yourself. Fine, we'll pull this back. And for this too, the same thing counts that I said before, is if it clips through the top of the cloak a little bit, that's not something we're gonna say, oh my god, that needs to be fixed. Like looking a little raggedy like that actually kinda works, but like this is actually horrible. With remeshing it, they're now connected. Actually, it's fine that they're connected. That's entirely fine. Just these bits need to be like not connected. So if I just use the smoothing brush, will that unconnect them? Probably not, right? Yeah, no, I didn't think so. No, it actually is a problem that they are connected. How far back can I go with Ctrl Z? Far enough to... Yes, I can! Kind of unfortunate that I need to do it this way, though. Can I remesh? No. But I can just move this out of the way a little bit, and when I remesh it, they won't connect up, so it'll be fine. Where even is the hand? Do I have a shortcut for this? Because I don't like having to open that menu every single time. I suppose this works. Sure, there we go. Now, make sure that this is pulled far enough away. And now when we remesh, it's the wrong button. Now when we remesh, they won't be connected, and I can... Hold on. If we're gonna do that anyway, maybe just buff up the edges here a little bit, and that might, with a remesh and a smoothing, fix a lot of these edges. Is what I hope. It might not. But it seems like that plan's actually working out decently well. Which is good. Okay, let's grab this thing again and pull it back to where it was at before. I'm gonna be real with you, I, as of yet, have no idea how in the world I'm going to rig this for animation. I am just kind of banking on the fact that I'm going to figure this out as I go. But for now, oh, that's clipping through. No, 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 no. Don't clip through. No, 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 no. Fair bad. Pull this in quite a bit. Not that bit though. Weight painting this is gonna be a pain because I'll tell you one thing for free, automatic weights not gonna do the trick here. I'm not even close. Is this clipping through the backside now? No, it's still not, but it's good. He kind of looks like he's got a little like weird lump here, which that is because he does. There's no need for this lump to be here. Okay. All things considered, that actually looks pretty good. As for my game, I guess I can show a little bit of gameplay now that we have this set up, because I'm not going to be retopologizing or doing anything with this anymore. We've spent the last, like, what is it at this point, 2.5 hours? Let's see. Yeah, almost 3 hours making this little guy. So I think that's going to be the work we do for now. But I can show you a little bit of gameplay for the game. It's an action RPG. Let's disconnect the drawing tablet and put it away again. It'll take a moment to compile all the shaders for Unreal. Let's see. I can probably do this with controller. PS4 Windows. On a moment. close this down so I can actually read the chat. Okay. Gonna mute the sound. And we'll just load game. That'll be the easiest. So, we'll just murder this guy. He's just here for gameplay testing purposes. I was testing some new AI stuff for this floating enemy. He's got way too much HP. Or the defense. Oh, I haven't implemented the defense. Yeah, so the defense bar is the bottom bar that you see here. That generates or regenerates after like 5 seconds at the moment, which is way too fast, which makes it kind of slow to kill these enemies. And in general, I feel like my damage calculation is ending up with way too low of a value as well. I don't exactly know why. So that is worth looking into. Oh, I know why. Because on load game, it doesn't actually apply like any level up that you've gotten. And I've been testing with level ups. So if I just level up my strength once, it'll now be where it should be, meaning that I deal a lot more HP damage. Yeah, I'm still working out a lot of the... Yeah, there we go. The damage you just saw was the base damage, which you would be doing usually when playing the game. So that is still a fair representation of what the game should feel like. I just, for my testing purposes, it takes so fucking long to get through all these enemies, which is kind of the point in the tutorial, to make sure that you have a good grasp on how the combat feels before you enter the main game itself. But it's also... Oh, also, I think I gave them new stats. That might be part of the reason. All the enemies now have their own stat table, rather than just sharing one with just like 50 HP. That's probably part of the reason as well. Yeah, so you have their normal attacks, which they just do when they're close to you, and their countdown allows for it. But when you have hit them a certain amount of times, they will become invincible and have that little glow around them, warning you to stop mashing the attack button and get the fuck out of the way, because you're not going to be able to like cancel them out of those attacks. That's the idea at any rate. So let me heal real quick. And well, this is the basic combat loop. So these are the most basic enemies which just patrol around, and when they see you, they walk towards you, and when they're close to you, they attack you. In the next wave that spawns here, there should be the ranged enemies as well. So they go to a patrol location, and then their movement isn't very smooth. Don't mind that. And then if you're in their range or in their sight, they'll fire a projectile at you. And this spider will also fire projectiles, but when you get very close to it, it'll also have an ability to generate a shield, which at the moment it certainly doesn't feel like doing, apparently. And then we've got these like basic demon enemies as well. And then I'm getting my ass handed to me in my own game. Can you imagine? So just don't die. Please. Just at least don't die. That would be embarrassing. Where are you? These are still a little bit annoying to deal with if they're the last leftover in like a spawner wave like this. You can also hit these projectiles back at them if you're better than I am. And that will then force them to fall down so you can actually easily attack them. Let's see. There we go. So now I've hit the back. It hits him and he falls down. He should stay down for a while after he's hit the ground, but that doesn't always seem to be working the way it should. So that's something I still have to figure out. Anyway, once all of the enemies are dead, the spawner in the middle of the room, I'll try to keep it on screen, will disappear, and it will spawn. It should spawn a key, but I already have the key, so it doesn't respawn the key. And then I also over here have this enemy, which will spawn those fucking things, which don't seem to be damaging me at the moment, actually. That's good to know. And this enemy specifically will always try to run away from you when it sees you, as you can see. So this one is kind of trying to avoid conflict. But when it does attack you, it attacks you with ranged attacks. So it can spawn those little lightning bolts. Yeah, these things aren't damaging me. All those runes around you, which will close in on you. And, well, that will damage you. And the way to figure your way out of that is wait until they do that closing in animation and then use your dashing ability. But apparently those things aren't damaging me yet, which I thought they would have. And then, aside from combat, we also have some very basic platforming here. Just to, like, switch up the gameplay a little bit. And in every dungeon, you'll have to do a little bit of fighting, a little bit of platforming. There would be a key up there as well, but I already gathered it. And there will be a puzzle, and getting all 3 of those keys will open up the door to the boss room, which I have been told crashes the game at the moment, so I'm not going to go in there. But that's the basic structure and the basic rundown of the game. And, well, we just spent like 3 hours making a new enemy to go inside of the first proper dungeon of the game after the tutorial. Thanks. I'm quite happy with the spider model specifically. It's I think it's quite nice how it is very mechanical in a way. The mechanics of it don't entirely, like the body mechanics of it don't entirely make sense because it can't create leverage with these legs to move itself forward while walking. So its walking animation is literally just its legs tapping up and down, which is less than ideal. But I think the game gets away with it pretty much. And this is actually the first enemy that I've made for this game. Oh, and this lantern over here probably wasn't very obvious from what just was shown. But when any enemy in the nearby vicinity is low on health, I think under 60%, this lantern will move towards it and start healing it back up to 80% and then leave again. So that's pretty much all the mechanics for the enemies that I have implemented so far. And then whenever this guy is done, he will be added specifically to one of the dungeons. So every dungeon will have a boss fight with a certain mechanic to it. And the enemy that corresponds to that will have a toned down version of that mechanic. So for instance, in this world over here, these demon guys, when they attack, they get stuck in the ground for a little bit. And the boss fight, which is over here, is this knight, which has a couple of normal attacks which you just have to avoid, but he also has one attack where he swings and gets his sword stuck in the ground, which is your real opportunity to start attacking him. So that's how that is linked in gameplay. And then all the other enemies that you see here, like these ghosts and these flying things and this lantern and that thing that shot lightning at me, those are just general enemies that will appear throughout the entire game. So that's the basic rundown of the game and the enemies in it and stuff like that. And now we've been live for, I don't know, I think we're going close to 3 hours, so I'm going to call it a day. And thank everybody who is tuned in for watching. And I will be back. Walk in there. I mean, I could, just to see what happens. It'll probably just crash Unreal. But let's see what happens in Editor. Oh, dashing does use up MP as well, by the way. Something to be aware of when playing this game. You can't infinitely dash. It doesn't use up a lot of MP. It uses up like, I think 1% of your maximum, so you can do 100 dashes before having to restore. And every hit you land on an enemy also regains you MP. Yeah, so that just straight up crashes. Find closest enemy. Okay, there's something in the enemy list update function that is causing that crash for some reason. That's really odd. Why would it do that? Huh. Well, I'll figure that out some other time. On either Monday or Tuesday, I'm aiming for Monday, but Monday might be a pretty full day with work, so I might not feel like it. If so, it'll be Tuesday, but I'm aiming for Monday. Will actually be, well, fixing this bug, first and foremost, because what I want to do is I want to make the AI for the boss fight, to make use of my new combat system. And for that, I'll need to be able to like enter the room with that boss fight. It's kind of a huge deal. So I'll try to fix this bug hopefully tomorrow, and otherwise we'll do this live on stream. And then Monday we'll fix up that boss fight, and some other time we will get back to this enemy. Maybe I'll finish this enemy on my own. I don't know for sure yet. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all back next time. Where's OBS? There we go.